Hello, everybody. Two important topics to talk about today. We're going to talk about understanding how companies share data with researchers. Do they, don't they? We did a study. Leslie Harris, one of our senior fellows, led the effort. And we're going to talk about sending your nude pictures to Facebook. Which do you want to talk about first? The corporate data sharing? This is the important one. No, you want to talk about the news first. Okay. You are reading all these stories and tweets and posts about Facebook wants you to send them nudes so they can prevent nudes of you being distributed on Facebook. That's crazy, right? It really would be crazy if that's what was happening. But here's what's really happening. The reality is that there are people being victimized every day. Maybe these ransomware people get control of your computer and they see some racy pictures and they threaten that they're going to distribute them to your friends online everywhere unless you send them money, Bitcoin usually. Or an ex-spouse, ex-boyfriend, girlfriend, somebody who you shared a picture with is now threatening you and they're going to send it to all your friends, your employer. That's pretty bad. Your life's ruined. I mean, that's mortifying. Folks like our friend Cindy Southworth at the National Network to End Domestic Violence deal with this problem all the time, trying to provide technology support to primarily women who are being victimized in this way. Our friend Professor Daniel Citron has worked on the legal theory. How do you hold these people accountable? How do you have laws that can be used to penalize people for causing this kind of harm? There are some gaps in the law, and she's worked with Marianne Franks and others. And then our friend Julie Inman Grant, remember her? Worked at Microsoft years ago, Adobe, phenomenal woman. She's the e-safety commissioner now for the entire continent of Australia. Really savvy, a person who's very sensitive to these issues. And these folks worked with Facebook to try to figure out, I mean, it is unfortunately sometimes Facebook where a picture like this gets uploaded, you know someone is threatening you, they've got this picture, you've got a copy of it, and they're threatening that it's going to be shared. In that circumstance, which is not a lot of cases, right? I mean, there are people who just, they upload a picture, you don't know about it, you don't have a copy of the picture, but there are circumstances where you know you're being threatened. And wouldn't it be nice to be able to go to Facebook and say, hey, this picture, don't let it get up there, because once it's up there, I don't care if you take it down quickly, it's too late, it's out, it gets circulated. I don't want it up there. Can I provide it to you? And Facebook will then hash it, create a signature so that when that picture is ever uploaded anywhere else, they'll be looking through the uploads for this signature. This is very similar to what many companies, AOL, Yahoo, Google and others do for child porn. When there is known child porn, NCMEC, the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children, creates these hashes and pushes that out to the companies. And then beware if you're in any way associated with anything like that, simply sending an email or uploading it to try to share it, those scans will catch that and you'll be in big trouble. So here, leveraging a similar version of that technology. Now, this was launched in Australia, and maybe it didn't have the full rollout to kind of put it in perspective, because it really is something that is critically important, worked out with experts for a very niche segment of people who, frankly, really need this help. Unfortunately, this ran, as the stories you've probably seen, Facebook wants us to upload our nude photos. It is not about you, and it is not about all of us preemptively loading up nude photos. It's about specific narrow situations where you know that there is a certain picture that is going to be used against you. And here we've got this pilot in Australia to see if this is an effective way, right? So, I mean, frankly, companies, we want them thinking like this, and we want them working with experts like Daniel Citron, like the National Network to End Domestic Violence, like the e-safety commissioner. But if you start taking it crazy out of context, Facebook's going to have your nudes, then no company is going to consider it worth the bother. So I'm glad they did. Now, some technical experts have said, well, maybe the better way to do this is to hash the picture on people's computer, because if I send it to Facebook, then some employee is going to see it, look at it. Facebook says, well, we're going to have some designated to do this. And so there's some debate with some of the technologists about whether it's feasible to hash it locally. Alex Stamos, Facebook's security lead, one of the globally most respected people in security, has made the case that that would make it easier for an adversary who knows that Facebook is blocking in this way to tweak, and that many browsers don't support this sort of local hashing. All right, but that's a legitimate debate, right? Let's figure out whether this is the most effective way to do it. But frankly, certainly the victims in this community are hoping that this is the kind of thing that is done more broadly so that we can have those protections. So anyway, kudos to the team at Facebook that worked this out. Sorry for the craziness that has erupted. If you are not a victim in this situation, please keep your nude photos to yourself. Do not send them to Facebook. Do not send them to anybody. Okay? Number 2, more serious, sober topic. This is on our website. A link to it will be in the comments. Increasingly, the data that researchers want to study what causes diseases, to study traffic, to study how we interact with each other is at companies. It's at Uber, it's at LinkedIn, it's at Facebook. It's digital data that can tell us an awful lot of information about the world. And leading researchers who are trying to solve problems, homelessness, do people end up getting a job? That data exists somewhere. Want access to corporate data sets. Now, of course, many of our members, chief privacy officers of the world, are gatekeepers here. No, we said we don't share any information. Well, can we de-identify it? Can we do a special project where you come internally and we work with you? What are the models? Are companies sharing? Are they sharing just data for good on particular causes? Do they ever share with academic researchers who can do an experiment and see where it goes? One of the challenges for research is if I go and I do an experiment and I use an exclusive data set and the data is not available, and I claim, here's what I figured out, and you can't go test it and find out whether you get the same results, that's not the best way to advance science. So there's a desire by many to have data sets, again, without personal information, stripped, de-identified, something that lots of people debate, are skeptical. Is it feasible to really perfectly de-identify data? But researchers are desperate to have access to many of these data sets to help government make better policy decisions or to advance the science that they're working on. So what Leslie Harris, one of our senior fellows, did is interviewed 20 companies that we coordinated and asked them, do you share? What are the parameters? What are the limits? How do you deal with privacy? And this report is really a phenomenal output that helps us understand a little bit better what some of the concerns are and what we can do in a privacy-safe way to enable responsible data sharing. Thanks to the Sloan Foundation, which funded this. They are eager in their mission to advance science and scientific knowledge and the ability to answer important public policy questions. So we hope you'll take time to read the report and welcome any thoughts and any questions. Thanks for joining today, and don't send us your nude pictures. Do read the report and see you all soon.